So it's been 3 years. It's been more than 3 years since I graduated, but it's been 3 years since we passed that resolution. And what has changed? Nothing has changed in terms of what Coca-Cola has done in the bottling plants in Colombia. No investigation of these allegations of murder and kidnapping and harassment has happened. And that is why we're here. A few years ago, before the resolution was passed at NYU, Coca-Cola hired someone named Ed Potter. And Ed Potter is a very special fellow. I've spent a lot of time with him. And he came into Coca-Cola as the Global Labor Relations Director. And that was to deal with us and to deal with other campaigns around India and in Africa at the time that were accusing them of labor violations. And Ed Potter was the one who refused to work with the WRC despite the WRC working a protocol out with Coca-Cola. And Ed Potter had the idea, well, why don't we have the ILO do an investigation? Well, it just so happens that Ed Potter sits on the ILO. Now, what kind of investigation was the ILO going to do? Well, at the time, they were very, convincing, oh, they're going to go in and they're going to check on what's happening in there. Well, it just happened, this assessment, and this assessment did not look into the allegations that our resolution specifically states they need to look into. The assessment of the ILO has nothing to do with the past, and it has nothing to do with the allegations of murder. And that is why we're here today again. Last year, the Senate also voted, and they voted to keep the ban because Coca-Cola came to them saying the ILO investigation is going to happen. It hadn't even happened yet. Well, now it has happened, but as we're saying, an independent investigation has still not happened here. Now, as Aaron stated, well, actually, I'll say also about the ILO. The assessment that they made does note that the union has fallen apart and that workers there feel dissuaded and will not join the union because they are scared. So if we're going to take a look at that, doesn't that only tell us, maybe we do need to look into these allegations? It's only more of a reason for the WRC to go in there. Now, as Aaron was saying, we did make international headlines. We were on German television, Indian television, UK, and all over national television here. And if Coca-Cola gets NYU, the largest private university in the country, to bring them back on campus, they will go out there and they will get that kind of media again. And they will get the media that NYU has decided they're a socially responsible company and that they are welcome on their campus. And we cannot let that happen. As you've seen in this movie, and as you will see in the first-hand testimony of Luis, this is not something we want on our campus until they abide by the resolution. Simple as that. And I'll pass it over.
Thank you. Just ask her, are the sign-in sheets going around? Can you passing around the sign-in sheets? If folks who didn't get the sign-in could sign in, that'd be great. Our next speaker is Caitlin Bainey, who's a current student at NYU. She's also a student senator and a student in NYU's College of Arts and Sciences and a member of Students Creating Radical Change, which is one of the organizations that helped get the Coke ban here in 2005 and has supported the ban ever since. She's apparently also quite a runner and is contemplating going to law school next year. Thanks.
Hi. So Crystal and Aaron took care of the bulk of the Kick Coke campaign, and I've only been working on it for the last 3 or 4 months now, so I'll keep my comments brief. There are just a couple things that I wanted to mention that sort of are unique to this year's campaign. They differ from in previous semesters. So 2 things that we have to deal with this semester are calling into question the validity of the ILO report and educating people on why it does not fit the stipulation set out by NYU's resolution. And the second thing, which is sort of linked to the first, is that there's been sort of a small and loud but logically weak opposition that has cropped up because of this ILO report. And so most of the campaign this past semester and this year has been revolving around educating ourselves and educating the NYU community as a whole as to why the ban should remain in place and why there is still overwhelming student support for the ban. So Crystal and Aaron talked about the ILO and why it's a bias report and why it, because of Ed Potter, and how it doesn't actually look into the allegations against Coca-Cola that they were complicit in the human rights violations. So just like getting that message out there, you know, I think there's just like, on its surface, it sort of sounds nice, you know, the ILO, it's a branch of the UN, and they went in there and they made a report, and they said that, you know, things are not too bad when they actually kind of are. But as you like scratch the surface, as you just start to, you know, begin to like look just a little bit deeper into the issue here, you can see that it's clearly biased. There is somebody, there's a conflict of interest right at the top of the Coca-Cola flowchart and right at the top of the ILO's flowchart. And I think what has happened is there is a group of people at NYU who, in my opinion, I think they're composed of two basic groups. The people, well, they're people who I don't think would have originally supported the ban in the first place based on ideology, and those based on their taste buds, their preferences, basically. I think the two arguments that we're seeing here are ideological and that like we prefer Coke to Pepsi. Neither of which address the actual resolution that was passed in the NYU Senate, and both of which fall apart quite spectacularly when actually like met with like the opposition, the people that feel like that the ban needs to be maintained. So in all the debates that we have been holding these past few months and fora that we've been holding, it's pretty clear the students, once they're like educated and like understand everything that's happened and have like, you know, sort of been presented with all the facts, do support the ban. We won the CAS Student Council debate 21-5 to maintain the ban. Gallatin also voted 11-2 to maintain the ban. And after there was a forum held this past Monday, the WSN wrote a staff editorial urging the Senate to maintain the ban. So I think it's very clear, like, the outcome of each of these debates, like, is overwhelmingly in support of the ban. So, yeah, I just wanted to mention those few things and to encourage everybody that's here to sign that banner over there. We're going to be bringing it outside the Senate meeting tomorrow, and to come outside the Senate meeting tomorrow and sort of rub elbows with some senators and tell them why you think that the ban should stay in place. And if you're a senator, I urge you to speak up and to sort of relay what you've learned and what you've seen and heard here tonight, and to most of all support maintaining the ban with your vote. Thanks.
Thank you. So our next speaker is Luis Adolfo Cardona. Luis is a former Coca-Cola worker in Colombia, where he was a union activist at Coke's bottling plant in Carepa, Colombia. He was a witness to the assassination of his co-worker, Isidro Segundo Gil, who was also active in the Senatorial Union. We're also very glad that we got Luis here. He's currently working at the AFL-CIO in California, and they have an active campaign that they're working on there, and so we know it was a hardship to get Luis here, and we're extremely happy to have him with us. Thank you. And translating for him will also be Camilo Romero, who's an organizer for the International Mission of Sinatra. Thanks.